Water is the first medicine. You can't drink oil and you cannot eat money. You cannot drink oil and you cannot eat money. So who actually stands to gain the most? Who actually will profit from the $3.8 billion Bakken Dakota Access Black Snake Pipeline LLC that the ETP, the Earth Trashing Parasites, are constructing out there by the Osheti-Sakowins Standing Rock Reservation near Cannonball, North Dakota? Who is putting that black crude oil pipeline through a river? Who actually gains? Who profits? Here's about 25% of the Dakota Access Pipeline LLC investors. You have the Bank of America, that which Mike MSNBC's Aleppo Man Barnacle's wife works for. The Bank of America, J.P. Morgan, Chase Bank, Appaloosa Bank Management, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, Citibank, Goldman Sachs, Wells Fargo, Harvest Fund Advisors, Oppenheimer, Tortoise Advisors, Clearbridge Advisors, and Morgan Stanley. That's 25% of the investors. Marathon and Enbridge have invested in the Bakken pipeline as well. Enbridge is a Canadian company headquartered in Calgary. Enbridge got into some trouble for buying some crap pipes from some Thailand company. Just recently, Enbridge pulled the plug on that Sandpiper pipeline in Minnesota after Marathon and Energy Transfer Partners had dropped out. Houston-based Phillips 66 became a joint venture partner owning a 25% stake in the Bakken Dakota Access LLC pipeline. Phillips 66 co-owns the Energy Transfer crude oil pipeline from Patoka to storage terminals in Nederland, Texas. It co-owns the storage terminals in Nederland, Texas, along with the Philadelphia-based Sunoco Logistics Partners. First, they came for the Keystone Pipeline, and I did not speak out because I was not a Keystone Pipeline. Then they came for the Sandpiper Pipeline, and I did not speak out because I was not a Sandpiper Pipeline. Then they came for the Bakken Dakota Access Pipeline, LLC, and I cheered. Supposedly, this black crude oil snake pipeline is going to get off the foreign oil teat so we can stop all these wars of empire and oil and become energy independent. ETP, Energy Transfer Partners, promised to us that 100% of all this crude oil that's pumping through our rivers and land was to be sold here domestically in America. But Rick Perry, who's on the board of directors of the ETP now, and even though coincidentally, Kelcy Warren gave Rick Perry $6 million for his failed presidential bid, so I wonder if the two are related. But Rick Perry and ETP was able to successfully lobby Congress to get the ban on oil exports lifted just last December. So if all this Bakken Shale region black crude oil is going to be sold domestically, then why would they lift the ban on exports? Now, I call bullspit. I hate censoring myself. Bullspit, who says that? That's a bunch of bull poop. That's a bunch of bull dookie. GD, WTF. Anyways, the Bakken pipeline isn't just for domestic markets. FFS. I bet 50%, if not 75%, will be for foreign markets, like to China or Honduras. ETP, the Earth Trashing Parasites, has a Gulf of Mexico port in Nederland, Texas. If the crude oil was going to be sold only domestically and our gas prices are going to come down, so it's going to be good for all of us, then what do all of these investors have to gain? Phillips 66, Enbridge, Marathon, Bank of America, J.P. Morgan, Chase Bank, Appaloosa Bank Management, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, Citibank, Goldman Sachs, Wells Fargo, Harvest Fund Advisors, Oppenheimer, Tortoise Advisors, Clearbridge Advisors, and Morgan Stanley. Why are they all investing in this? Just for our sake, for the good of the people, for the good of the American people? All these corporations, investors, big bankers, oil companies, big oil, big bank. The big banks, all of them have money invested into this project. And Kelcy Warren is pushing for this pipeline to be constructed by this year, 2016. Part of Kelcy Warren's construction plans were to start constructing before all the permits were even approved, since it's easier to ask for forgiveness than it is to get permission. And that's nice. So, do you have permission to build here? No, I don't, but I'm a rich white man, the CEO of a major oil company. Why do I need permission? The government officials will soon enough bow down and kneel before me. I will bring the politicians to heel, because I'm Kelcy Warren, and I am the CEO of the ETP. So we know exactly, precisely, to a T, what corporations want. Corporations, by design, want to make as much money as humanly possible. They want to maximize their profits and pay their stockholders hefty dividends. That's their sole function. So we know what they want. It's obvious. Whereas Kaepernick believes that he has a social responsibility to the community, Kelcy Warren and his ETP, the earth trashing parasites, they do not. Kelcy Warren doesn't give a flying flock of seagulls what happens to us, the little people. Remember when gas prices were at nearly $5? Apparently, the American people were willing to pony up that $5 a gallon for gas. The ETP, all the oil industry, were just testing folks. They're just seeing what you were willing to pay. Will the American people rise up against the oil companies and the banks and investors who finance them? If this pipeline goes in and then gas shoots up to $5 a gallon, what if gas doesn't go down at all? You, Joe Blow, average American who defended this powerful corporation, defended Goldman Sachs, Wells Fargo, and Tortoise Advisors to put this pipeline into the ground through our rivers so vehemently, so passionately. Will you finally stand up then when you find out later that the pipeline wasn't put in there for you and me, but for them? And instead, you just had been had? You got took? You're a hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, run amok? To think that J.P. Morgan and Morgan Stanley and the other $20 to $30 million investors invested into this pipeline for nothing, for just an altruistic reason, for the good of the people, is crazy. Just for the good of America, just to make sure our gas prices go down? Oh, come on. You know that's not true. You know it. You can't drink oil and you cannot eat money. You think that Kelcy Warren, who owns 30 guitars, including a 1943 Martin D28 and a bunch of ATVs, is just like any old aw shucks, average good old boy American out here? I mean, Kelcy Warren, he just likes to drink beer and cheat on his income taxes by cowing out on his demented LLC ways and establishing 4 different MLPs, which, of course, is just like any red-blooded average American knows, MLPs are master limited partnerships. And then Kelcy Warren lives in his $33 million, 19-room, 23,000 square foot Dallas, Texas mansion on Millionaires Lane in Preston Hollow, which has 4 bowling lanes, a baseball diamond, and a pit to pole vault in. A pit to pole vault in. Just to pass the time away. Plus, Kelcy Warren has another mansion, this one for leisure, on Lake Tahoe. Plus, there's his 4 or more 24,000 acres, 24,000 plus acres of luxurious ranches, including one small 3,500 acre ranch worth $47 million in southwest Colorado. Plus, Kelcy Warren owns all those exotic animals, those giraffes and javelinas, peccari, skunk pigs, pissed-off Asian bull-gars, zebras, buffaloes. Kelcy Warren owns all those giraffes and javelinas and skunk pigs, just like any of us aw-shucks average good old boy, red-blooded American boy could ever dream of. He's worth $4 to $7 billion. But Kelcy Warren is just like you and me, right? Kelcy Warren owns exotic animals like how the Osheti-Sakowin used to collect scalps. And just like any average red, white, and blue bald eagle-loving American, Kelcy Warren never thinks of the poor, of their plight, or those who have experienced injustice, or the plight of the homeless, or the war-torn regions of Syria. Aleppo doesn't even enter into his brain. And why should it? Aleppo should only matter to Kelcy Warren if the people of Aleppo are ready to pony up some of their cash reserves and raw materials for Kelcy Warren to do as he pleases with them. Kelcy Warren, just like any shucks average good old boy, red-blooded American, then picks out his favorite jet out of his battalion of jets in his jet garage, the Dassault Falcon 900, and then flies that Dassault Falcon 900 to his private Neverland Island off the coast of Honduras, right next to Roten in the morning, and then he sips nice cold Budweiser with the president of Honduras and Tegucigalpa in the afternoon. Just like every one of us, just like any of us all, old shucks, average good old boy, red-blooded American, just like the little people do. Clearly what's in Kelcy Warren's best interest is what is in our best interest, right? Kelcy Warren says that he was able to acquire all of his wealth, homes, ranches, islands, his giraffes, javelinas, and skunk pigs, all the skunk pigs a boy could ever want, ever dream of. And I quote, without anybody noticing. He acquired all those things without anybody ever noticing. And even though Kelcy Warren is a part of the elite club of 400 billionaires who get to buy up politicians, who controls the political establishment, he's the one who's got the gall to say that a few environmental activists shouldn't dictate to America the direction that she should go. But it's them. It's the 400 billionaires who dictate the direction that America goes. And it's always been them. It's infuriating that many folks, Fox News viewers usually, think that the greed of 160 million Americans are what's ruining this country, but not the greed of 400 billionaires of the 1%, all of which have names and addresses, and they put their pants on one leg at a time, just like any one of us do. Kelcy Warren has acquired all of Enron's pipes. He bought them out as Enron went bankrupt. Kelcy Warren bought out the Louis Dreyfus High Bridge Energy Company for $2 billion. Southern Union Company, he bought out for $8.5 million. Southern Union brought 20,000 miles of pipelines to ETE, the Energy Transfer Equity, and ETP, the Energy Transfer Partners, aka the Earth Trashing Parasites, which stretched into Florida and Michigan, as well as bring a liquefied natural gas facility in Lake Charles, Louisiana, into the ETP empire. Today, ETE is converting an old Southern Union gas pipeline to carry Bakken sweet crude oil from Illinois to the Sunoco terminal in Nederland, Texas. Yes, the Sunoco terminal in Nederland, Texas. Kelcy Warren bought out Sunoco for a cool $8.7 billion. And Sunoco owns 4,900 Sunoco gas stations. And Sunoco also brought to ETP a vast Texas shipping terminal. The Sunoco terminal in Nederland, Texas has got 5 major shipping ports where Kelcy Warren has international ships that transport his oil and gas all over the world. Currently, Energy Transfer is developing a $9.6 billion export-import facility there in Nederland along the Gulf Coast with a partner, BG Group, the UK gas producer that's agreed to sell itself to the Royal Dutch Shell. And that $9.6 billion export-import facility is expected to be finished in 4 years, in 2020. But that's actually a year behind schedule, and that makes Kelcy Warren infuriated. ETP is going to sell all that oil. ETP is going to sell all that oil from the Bakken Shale region domestically. GTFO here. Get the F out of here. ETP has merged with the Dallas-based Regency Energy Partners, which represented an $18 billion pact. Kelcy Warren's empire is a bunch of complicated moving parts, and he's got to answer to a bunch of investors out here. Investors, not people, but aliens. So far, Kelcy Warren and his earth-trashing parasites own 71,000 miles of pipeline in the United Snakes. And Kelcy Warren plans on building 80,000 miles more in the next 10 years. He wants to more than double the ownership of pipelines that only he gets to control, only he gets to own. So far, ETE has had returns of up to 250% in the past 3 years for their investors. 250%. They've more than doubled their money. They are maximizing their profits. We know what they're doing. 61-year-old white male billionaire, Kelcy Warren, actually had to get himself a hip replacement. And that's an expensive medical operation, but Kelcy Warren didn't go bankrupt over it. He didn't declare medical bankruptcy like millions of Americans do. Kelcy Warren didn't have to fret over the cost or the insurance companies or any of the expenses. He didn't have to forego food or electric or internet or any other necessity in order to get his hip replaced, to get his health fixed. No, he didn't. Kelcy Warren also didn't have to worry about the cost of college, neither will his entitled son, who already has a park named after him, the Clyde Warren Park in downtown Dallas, Texas. That's true. Check it out. Louis C.K. actually has a bit that fits Clyde Warren to a T. No, Clyde Warren is not like you and me. Here is who is going to benefit from the Bakken Dakota Access Pipeline. Kelcy Warren, his oil company, his oil industry. The oil companies who drills and bores oil in the Bakken Shale in northwest North Dakota. Kelcy Warren's stockholders and investors. The 5,000 Sunoco gas stations Kelcy Warren owns, and the 700 Stripes convenience stores Kelcy Warren owns in Texas, New Mexico, and Oklahoma. And these Stripes convenience stores are the front for a gas station. So there's a convenience store. When you go to a gas station, there's the gas pumps, and they're making money, and then there's the convenience store. Stripes is that convenience store, and Sunoco are the gas stations. So these are the people who's going to benefit. Kelcy's businesses, the contractors that he hires or fires, and his investors, those who are involved in Kelcy Warren's machine and his empire will benefit. Kelcy Warren's Energy Transfer Partners empire is a huge corporate conglomerate, and in Kelcy Warren, the big banks and millionaire and billionaire investors trust. It's so complicated, they don't know what's going on, but they just trust Kelcy Warren will make good with their money. I don't trust him. I don't trust what he's doing with this country. Kelcy Warren is not you. He's not me. He's not one of us. He doesn't care about the consumers or the land or the environment or the regular folks of the United Snakes of America, the land of the thief and the home of the slave. And Kelcy Warren doesn't represent the people of the Standing Rock Reservation, the Yaktani Dakota, the Hunk Papa Lakota of the Osheti Sakowin, who suffer from a 50% poverty rate. They're just as poor as the people who live in Owsley County, Kentucky. But unfortunately, those backwards dips in Owsley County, Kentucky are probably champion these big bankers' pipeline, these globalist infrastructure, especially if they thought that it would hurt the gay blacks somehow. Don't think that growth for Kelcy Warren's company is inevitable, or that his illusion of a corporation is inevitably immortal. He's just a human being. He's just a person like any one of us. Recently, you had 3 billionaires who dropped Kelcy Warren and the ETP, the earth-trashing parasites, like a lead balloon for undisclosed reasons. Ken Griffin, James Simmons, Daniel Ouch, sold 3 million of their units, which is like stocks, but it's all confusing little game they play, of ETP. They sold it. So Kelcy Warren actually doesn't own a corporation. He owns a master limited partnership, so he doesn't have to pay income taxes. And even billionaires are bailing out of it. And with so many moving parts and so many fictitious accounting mechanisms designed to skirt the law, so Kelcy Warren doesn't have to pay income taxes, and neither does ETP. And Kelcy Warren they trust, but I don't. I know that Kelcy Warren is a blood-sucking capitalist. He's a vulture who preys on the weak and vulnerable, and all he cares about is himself, his wife, his child. For the master limited partnership, all Kelcy Warren wants to do is maximize his profits, to help out his investors and himself, to line his own pockets up. And that's it. That's it. By 2050, in 34 years, because of global warming, there's going to be places on Earth where people currently live now that will be too hot to live. So they won't be able to live there in 34 years from now, in my lifetime. Jill Stein is aiming to be off of dirty energy and on to 100% green renewable energy by 2030. That's in 14 years. America, we've got a chance to be great for the first time in our nation's history. Great not just for the 1%, but great for all of us. Instead of corporate growth, perhaps it's time we slow down and take a hard look at ourselves and see what are we actually doing here. Instead of corporate growth, let's fight for the growth of union solidarity. If capitalism is the answer, then we should be able to capitalize on our own labor. Let's fight for the growth of our democracy, growth of our discussions, growth of our community, growth of our relationships, grow our love for one another and love for Mother Earth. Let's do that instead. You can't drink oil and you can't eat money. Water is the first medicine. We all live under the same great big blue sky, and we're all imbued with the same great spirit. We all breathe the same air and drink the same water, and we've all been breathing that same air and same water since the beginning of space-time. I see the God that's in you. I see the God that's within you. And we're all gods in this wonderland, in this adventure. We're all made up of star stuff, and life is simple. But you got predators and exploiters and oppressors and parasites that want to make this world complicated, dirty, and ugly. So many tyrants, so many hypocrites, so many jerks, so many people suck. They really do, yet we're all humans, and life isn't complicated. Life is simple. We all need the same things. Food, water, clothing, shelter, peace, safety, dignity, love, and belonging, happiness, and freedom. Yeah, freedom, liberty. It shouldn't be so hard, so complicated, so difficult. So let's liberate each other. You and me, him, her, they, we, us. Here in the home of the thief, land of the slave. Vote for the greater good. Don't participate in evil. Don't empower evil. Don't give the tiny sliver of power that this failed democracy in these United States snakes. Vote for the greater good. Don't participate in evil. Don't empower evil. Don't give the tiny sliver of power that this failed democracy in these United Snakes allows you to have to evil, to wickedness, or to the lesser of the two evils. If you vote for evil, then you're responsible for it and will be held to account for it. We are all part of the great human family, and we are the stewards on this earth, only but for a little while. Life is precious. Life is all we have, and this is it. This right here is it. This is all we have. Our circles end, and then the next generation will carry the torch into the future. So let's plant the seed of life, the seed of solidarity, the seed of democracy, of community, love, charity, kindness, decency. Plant the seed of life and then marvel as it grows tall like a mighty oak. Jesse Williams is right. We are magic, but that doesn't mean that we're not real. We can't drink oil and we can't eat money. So let's start living for each other for a change. Jill, baby Jill, Jill Stein forever, Jill not Hill, Jill for the win, Jill Stein 2016. Thank you for listening.